Do you want to experience mountain sickness, hypothermia, and frostbites from the comfort of your sofa? Then get into board gaming with K2, and this could be you. Let's take a look at K2, an excellent example of synergy between theme and gameplay. In K2, you're trying to be the first to reach the summit of the second tallest mountain on the planet, score the most points, and keep your climbers alive. Each player starts with 2 climbers, 2 tents, and an identical deck of 18 cards. Turn after turn, you will be playing 3 cards out of your hand of 6 to move up or down the mountain by using the green ones, or to keep your climbers warm by using the blue ones. As per proper mountains, you know, the big tall things made out of rock, the higher you go, the more difficult it is to move. Not only because of the cost of movement. For example, moving from here to here is gonna cost you 3 points from your cards, but also because of the space restriction that you have at different altitudes. Here, for example, in a 3-player game, only 2 climbers are allowed on each space. Well, now you could argue that if it's just a matter of playing cards to move, why don't you always play the highest value cards in your hand, so that you're gonna be the first to reach new heights, which is also how you score points? Well, not so quick, because we haven't talked about these little evil pieces of cardboard yet. Climbing mountains is a risky business, and in K2 this risk is represented by risk tokens. Now, you remember that I said that at the beginning of your turn you're gonna be playing 3 cards? Well, all players will simultaneously reveal the 3 cards they want to play, and whoever is playing the most upward movement points will need to pick up one of the 3 revealed risk tokens, having to then subtract the value of the risk token from one or more of their cards, possibly destroying all of their plans. The game lasts 18 rounds, which are tracked by the weather tiles, this being a really strong thematic tie, as in real climbing the weather is a key factor. I really like the concept of being able to see the weather forecast for the next few rounds and plan accordingly. And of course, the weather will make the climb more challenging and put you in difficult situations. On top of that, the higher you go, the colder it gets. And combine that with really bad weather, and you will see your 2 climbers slowly freeze to death. To alleviate the damage your meeples will suffer due to the harsh conditions, there is an option to pitch tents. But this will cost you the same amount of movement points as entering the tile you are on. And tents are permanent. Each of them can only be used by one of your meeples and cannot be moved. So far we've seen cards, weather tiles, meeples, risk tokens, tents. What about points? How do you score points? When one of your climbers reaches a new height with more victory points than the one they came from, you will need to mark it on the score tracker by moving the correspondent meeple to the new value. Now the trackers will only move if your climbers manage to go higher or if they die. At the end of the game, you will just add up the score from your 2 climbers, and whoever's got the most points wins. Ties are resolved pretty easily. Wins whoever reached the summit first. Now let's talk about the overall experience of playing K2. You will start your journey at base camp full of expectation and camaraderie with all the other players. There is plenty of space to move about, it's not that cold, and everyone is having a great time. Space starts to be a problem, and the first signs of stress are now visible, with players taking longer to plan their actions and paying attention to other climbers' position. It's cramped and cold. This is when you start thinking about killing somebody. People around the table stop being friends, they are just now obstacles between you and the top of the mountain. Yes, you made it! You've reached the summit! Adrenaline is still rushing through your veins when you suddenly realize that someone has blocked your descent, destroying all your chances of winning the game. Now, if the standard summer board is not enough for you board game adrenaline junkies, why not try the winter side with the winter weather tiles, a more difficult climb where the weather also affects movement. So you can see that K2 is a fine balance between strategy and risk-taking. Do you push for it, potentially having your turn screwed by a risk token, or do you stay back executing your evil plan to block other players? It's about managing your cards accordingly to altitude and the upcoming weather. You will go through the deck 3 times in a game, so I would suggest letting new players inspect the deck beforehand to get an understanding of the distribution of the card types. And there is no much downtime between turns, as they are quick and you will be completely focused on the board, continuously reviewing your next move, as you will likely be affected by other players' movement. K2 is an exquisite game that could be used to get new people into the hobby, as the rules are not overwhelming and the theme is pretty interesting. I really recommend it, both to experienced and novice board gamers.